Hi there, I'm Rod Bergeron, and today we're going to be doing something slightly different than normal. I'm going to do a lot of wet on dry, so that's some Payne's Gray wash that I set across there, and I'm just going to put a little bit more Payne's Gray into that, and I'm just tapping the brush on there and letting that bleed into wherever it is that it's going to go to, okay? Don't try to control it too much. And I'm going to use the rest of this Payne's Gray just to put some foreground across there, okay? And most of that's going to get lost, so don't worry about it too much. All right, we're going to take this brush and rinse it out fairly well, and I'm going to pick up some of this sienna. I'm going to get a little bit more water here, and I'm just going to put some sienna across here like this, and we're going to touch it onto that Payne's Gray line, get rid of that Payne's Gray line there. I'm going to touch this back into the pigment and just pick up a little bit more concentrated pigment. See, I left those jagged lines like that across there. That's what I'm kind of going for. I want some of this to bleed into that area and back and forth, okay? So I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to make a little bit more Payne's Gray wash here. And we're just going to put this on the left, moving over towards the right in that sort of jaggedy fashion like that. And when you touch this to the sienna there, the sienna will bleed into it and vice versa, okay? Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna push this all the way up to all the way up there. And if you wanna leave a little bit of a white line, that's okay. I'm gonna pick up this Payne's Gray a little bit more concentrated, and I'm actually going to put quite a pile of concentrated Payne's Gray right in there, okay? Now we're going to drag out of that in just a second. I'm going to rinse that brush off, and I'm going to pick up some of this, which is a forest green, and we're going to make a forest green field coming across here, and I'm going to pick that up slightly more intense, and I'm just going to drag that so that this comes over and touches the Payne's Gray that we set up there earlier. All right, set that brush down. Now this is #1 round watercolor brush, but I sharpened one end of it with my utility knife, and we're gonna drag out of this dark area, and we're gonna create some trees, some brush, if you will, here, okay? We're gonna do the same down here. We're gonna make some of this sort of jut out into this field a little bit. All right, sort of like that. That's pretty good. All right, now I'm going to take my big brush again. I'm going to touch it back to the Payne's Gray one more time, and I'm going to put a little bit more Payne's Gray just in a patch like that. And we're going to go back and do the same thing. We're going to drag out of that again, and you can create more branches. Just go back to the original pile and drag out of that. That's some pretty nice brush coming along there. Look what happened to our tree line across there. That's pretty interesting. I'm gonna go back to the Payne's Gray one more time, and I'm just gonna touch a little bit more Payne's Gray across there. And I'm just gonna make some more brush along this side here. Just drag out of it. All right, look at that field is turning out pretty cool right across there. And look at what's happening to our horizon line back there. All right, this is just a bag of regular table salt. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of table salt into that wet area where that green is. Just like that, just a few, not a lot. Like, you don't wanna cover the whole thing. All right, and I think we're going to, I might just do one more thing here. I'm just going to put a little bit of, yellow ochre across the front here. Okay, just like a little bit of yellow ochre in there, and let's see if that'll bleed into, those other colors. All right. And we'll just drop a little bit of salt into that too. It's an experiment, people. It's just an experiment. Everything's an experiment. You should think about every part of your art practice just being an experiment. And I'm just out here to share my experiments. I'm just out here to share my experiments and see what happens. You know, dropping that salt in there at that last minute, that was just a spontaneous thing that I thought about. And I thought, well, let's share that. So let's let this dry and see what happens. All right, let's have a look at this. Look at that tree line way off in the distance. That turned out really nice. Look at the scribing, how we scribed out of those puddles and made that brush there. And same with this grass here. That turned out really nice. I will tell you though, one of the things that I get asked quite often is, what do you do with the salt? And I don't know if you can see here. I'll try to zoom in, but you can see I've left all that salt on there. So what you really do is you just sort of take it and touch it with your hand and gently sort of brush it off. Not all of it will come off. You'll see there's some dots there, but I just normally just dust it off like that and put it into the garbage. But look at what this salt has done to all that. And look at across here what the salt has done. There's a little couple of salt crystals still stuck on there. Try to not get it into your paint though, okay? But look at it, makes all the little dots and it turns the paint into this really super interesting little area across there. All right, so I don't think we're done with this. You see how I left that little white line across there? Now you could leave that if you want to, but I'm going to put some very, very faint yellow across there to indicate sort of a field way off in the distance. Just like that. And I think that really adds another layer to the painting. You know, it really makes it look like there's something else happening back there. See how these little white areas are here? You could paint those yellow also, but most of the time I leave those because it adds sort of an area of visual interest to your painting. But let's put our mat on here and see what happens. Check that out. That turned out pretty cool. I really like this painting. I think it turned out great. I'd love to know what you think of it. Let me know in the comment section. And let me know if there's anything you want to see me paint. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you could drop me a comment and let me know where you're from. I would really like to know where you're from. I find it super interesting to hear where my subscribers are from. Anyways, thanks a lot for joining me today. I really appreciate it. If you're currently a subscriber, thanks a lot. And if you're not currently a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks a lot for watching today, and we'll see you again real soon.